The San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station produces nearly 20% of Southern California's power, providing electricity to 15 million residents. Units 2 and 3 of the power plant became operational in 1983 and 84. A Marine Review Committee monitored the effect on the environment, and after 15 years concluded that songs was, indeed, harming the marine environment. In the reactor core, uranium undergoes nuclear fission. The energy released by this reaction heats water surrounding the fuel rods, which is then used to heat another water source. This water boils into steam, which turns turbine blades to harness the energy produced. To condense the steam back to water, seawater is pumped in and returned to the ocean after passing through the turbine. The Marine Review Committee discovered that the water exiting songs stirs up large amounts of silt, clouding the water and preventing sunlight from reaching the kelp, and significantly affecting fish populations. In 1991, the California Coastal Commission required songs to mitigate this loss of life.
The power plant's been implicated for causing the loss of about 180 acres of the kelp forest right offshore. So as mitigation for that loss, the Coastal Commission has required Edison to build an artificial reef at a site nearby that's outside the influence of the power plant that will replace the 180 acres of kelp forest that's lost by the operation of the power plant. The reef in the vicinity of the San Onofre nuclear power plant are largely very low relief reefs that consist primarily of cobbles and boulders that support assemblages of algae and invertebrates and fish.
A site just offshore of San Clemente was chosen as the location of the artificial reef. The similarity between the chosen site and the lost kelp forest made it an ideal location for the project.
There were a lot of community meetings here. I was one of the people that came as a citizen, and it went pretty well, I think. There was a few concerns from the commercial lobster fishermen that when they planted the reef would be during lobster season would cause some problems, but we worked all those out and they cooperated, everything went really well. I think Edison did a good job. I mean, they addressed every complaint, every issue, they brought it up and talked about it and looked for a solution to make it work, and I think they did a good job. One of the biggest concerns was kelp rack on the beach. Some of the people don't like kelp on the sand, and were worried that the reef would create too much kelp, and when the big storms come, it would gather on the beach and cause problems.
The first phase was a 5-year experimental phase that was intended to test different types of reef designs. There was a massive amount of monitoring done during the 5-year experiment to try and document the performance of these different reefs.
In order to simulate the natural reef, 2 kinds of building material, quarry rock and recycled concrete, were tested to determine which provided the best kelp habitat. The experimental phase was a success, and scientists determined that building a large artificial reef was a valid method for compensating for the effects of the power plant. Construction of the 175-acre reef ended in the summer of 2008.
They dumped rocks for months and months and months. Big rocks, actually. I mean, I think the smallest rock weighed 300 pounds. They were this big around, great big rocks. So, and it was a big deal. And they brought, barge after barge after barge full of rocks. The construction people did a great job on that deal.
Now that the reef is built, it's kind of a monitoring and evaluation to determine whether or not it's going to perform as hoped. So there's a series of biological and physical performance standards that have to be met. The abundance and number of species of fish, say, on the artificial reef has to be similar to nearby natural reefs.
Besides mitigating the effects of songs, the new reef is also expected to provide 50 tons of fish each year.
Everybody that fishes lobsters fishes there. It's a big area, and they've fished it consistently anyway. It always had been fished. There's a lot more hard bottom to try now, and lobsters are where they want to be, and when they want to be there, it's more hard bottom to hang out at. And they'll mount up there at times when things are right.
Though improved fishing is just a side benefit of the San Clemente Reef, many artificial reefs are built expressly for that purpose. Southern California is home to over 20 artificial reefs. Some are old shipwrecks that now host marine life, and some, like the San Clemente Reef, were built with a specific purpose in mind. The California Artificial Reef Enhancement Program supports artificial reefs, with a focus on converting decommissioned oil rigs into reefs. With the information gathered from the San Clemente Artificial Reef, CARE and organizations like it will be better able to promote artificial reefs and encourage smart reef building.
We don't expect to see new species. In fact, we don't necessarily want to see new species. We want to see assemblages and communities that sort of resemble what should be there naturally. And that's our hope.
The San Clemente Artificial Reef today serves as an important habitat and also as a reminder of what can be accomplished when government and industry work together on environmental goals. As we search for new ways to protect the oceans, artificial reefs may be key to improving biodiversity and preserving important habitats.
I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the whole project. I think it's good for the ocean. It's good for fishing. Every single fish you could think of that lives in a rocky habitat is going to be helped by this habitat. It just gives them more places for things to grow on the bottom, and more things that other things can eat, and that's what makes a community. Big ones eat the little ones, and if you got a place for the little ones to grow, the big ones will come to eat them. So it's not going to hurt anything. It's going to make it better.